Every individual is created with a divine purpose, uniquely designed by the Creator to fulfill a specific calling. Being chosen is not about fame, wealth, or public recognition, but about living in alignment with God's will. Those who are set apart often walk a path that others cannot fully understand. Their actions, decisions, and life journey may be questioned, doubted, or even ridiculed by those around them. This is because human perception is limited, while God's understanding is infinite. When the world does not recognize or acknowledge your value, it is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reminder that your mission is tied to a higher purpose. Every challenge, every overlooked opportunity, and every moment of misunderstanding becomes a tool for shaping character and strengthening faith. The chosen one learns to trust God's plan above all else, understanding that divine alignment is more important than external validation. Walking this path requires patience, resilience, and a steadfast heart, for the unseen work is often the most significant. God works quietly and powerfully, molding the individual to fulfill a purpose that is greater than what the human eye can perceive. Being chosen comes with responsibilities that are often invisible to others. You may feel burdened, isolated, or misunderstood, yet this is part of the process of spiritual refinement. The chosen one is often tested in ways that measure faith, endurance, and commitment to righteousness. These tests are not meant to discourage, but to develop a strength that is rooted in God. Faith becomes the anchor, and prayer becomes the source of guidance. When no one else believes in your mission, it is the quiet confidence in God's plan that sustains you. Every decision made with integrity, every act of kindness done without expectation, and every moment of obedience to God contributes to the fulfillment of a purpose that transcends immediate recognition. The world may see only small, ordinary actions, but God sees the eternal significance behind every step taken in faith. Understanding this brings courage, allowing the chosen one to continue with unwavering resolve, even in the face of doubt, criticism, or misunderstanding. The journey of the chosen one demonstrates that greatness is often built in the unseen. The seeds sown in faith, humility, and diligence may not produce immediate results, yet they are essential for long-term impact. The patience required is immense, for the process cannot be rushed, and the trials faced are part of spiritual growth. It is easy to become discouraged when others fail to recognize your efforts or when your life does not follow conventional success. However, true Christian motivation teaches that the fulfillment of God's purpose is far more significant than temporary acknowledgement. Each challenge and every period of waiting strengthens resilience, deepens faith, and prepares the chosen one for the moment when God's plan will manifest fully. This moment, when it comes, is often undeniable, powerful, and transformative. It confirms that staying faithful, humble, and obedient, even when unseen and unappreciated, ultimately honors God and fulfills the unique destiny for which the chosen one was created. In a world that often celebrates power, aggression, and self-interest, the person who consistently demonstrates kindness, humility, and integrity is frequently misunderstood. The one who chooses to act with goodness, patience, and compassion is often labeled naive, weak, or overly trusting, as if these virtues were flaws rather than strengths. Yet, from a Christian perspective, true strength is rooted not in dominance or loud assertion, but in the quiet consistency of character aligned with God's will. The individual who walks in righteousness understands that every act of mercy and every gesture of humility carries eternal significance, even if the world fails to see it. Misunderstanding and skepticism from others are natural consequences of living a life that reflects higher principles, and the chosen one must be prepared to endure these perceptions without losing faith. The path of integrity is not the easiest path, but it is the one that cultivates spiritual maturity, moral fortitude, and the capacity to impact lives in a way that fleeting recognition or superficial approval never can. God sees the heart, and while human eyes may judge prematurely, divine acknowledgement is never delayed. Being consistently good in a world that often rewards cunning or selfishness is a challenge that tests patience and resolve. Those who embody kindness without expecting reward and humility without seeking attention may experience loneliness or even exploitation. This does not indicate weakness, but illustrates the courage required to remain faithful to God's principles in the face of misunderstanding. Christian teaching emphasizes that the meek shall inherit the earth, and that acts of righteousness done quietly will eventually bear fruit. The true measure of a person's strength is their ability to persist in goodness despite opposition, doubt, or ridicule. This perseverance transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary testimony, showing that integrity cannot be measured by popularity, influence, or applause. Rather, it is reflected in unwavering adherence to truth, compassion, and obedience to God's calling. The Mr. Nice Guy, as he is sometimes called by the world, becomes a living example of courage that is invisible to many but visible and honored by God. The reward for maintaining integrity in the face of misunderstanding is not always immediate, yet it is profound. Those who remain steadfast discover that their lives have a ripple effect beyond what they can measure. Each act of kindness, each decision to remain honest, and each moment of humility contributes to the fulfillment of God's plan. Christian motivation reminds us that what the world may dismiss as weakness is actually a preparation for greater purpose. Being misunderstood becomes a tool for refining patience, strengthening faith, and deepening reliance on God rather than human approval. In this process, the chosen one learns the value of spiritual discernment, the importance of quiet endurance, and the power of consistent goodness. Over time, the integrity that was once overlooked becomes undeniable, exposing truth and inspiring others to rise above cynicism. The world may not understand immediately, but divine justice ensures that every virtuous act matters, and that the faithful who remain kind under pressure will ultimately be recognized in God's perfect timing. One of the greatest challenges faced by those chosen for a divine purpose is the lack of belief from others. Friends, colleagues, and even family members may doubt, question, or fail to support the individual's vision. This lack of belief can be painful and discouraging, yet it is not a reflection of the worthiness or capability of the chosen one. Instead, it is a test of faith, patience, and resilience. Christian teaching reminds us that human perception is limited and often short-sighted. God's plans, however, are perfect, intentional, and eternal. When no one believes, it is an opportunity to focus on God's approval above all else. The chosen one learns to find strength in prayer, scripture, and silent devotion, knowing that divine validation is far more meaningful than earthly acknowledgement. Every moment of doubt from others becomes a chance to cultivate perseverance, deepen reliance on God, and refine character. The journey may feel lonely at times, but these moments are formative, shaping a spirit capable of fulfilling a calling that extends beyond the immediate understanding of those around them. The disbelief of others can also become a powerful motivator for growth and self-reflection. When support is absent, the chosen one must rely on internal discipline, unwavering faith, and commitment to integrity. This period of testing is a crucible for spiritual and personal development. Christian motivation teaches that challenges and opposition serve a purpose, preparing the individual to execute God's plan with wisdom and resilience. The pressure of skepticism strengthens resolve and encourages the cultivation of qualities such as patience, humility, and steadfastness. In these moments, every small act of obedience, every consistent step in faith, and every sacrifice becomes a testimony of commitment. The chosen one learns that it is not the applause or belief of others that matters most, but the unwavering pursuit of God's will. This understanding fosters inner peace, resilience, and a sense of divine purpose that remains unshaken by the opinions or doubts of the world. Ultimately, enduring disbelief strengthens the chosen one for the eventual revelation of purpose. The world may be slow to recognize, yet God's timing is perfect. Christian teachings encourage believers to remain steadfast, trusting that each challenge faced in the absence of support is laying the foundation for future triumph. The moments when no one believes are refining moments, teaching reliance on God, perseverance in faith, and endurance under pressure. These experiences shape the character, fortify resolve, and prepare the individual to act decisively when their purpose is revealed. When the time comes, the fruits of steadfast faith and unwavering commitment become evident to all, confirming the vision and the mission. The journey through doubt is therefore not wasted. It is purposeful, shaping the chosen one into a vessel equipped to honor God, inspire others, and fulfill a destiny that could never have been realized without patience, resilience, and trust in the divine plan. Life often exposes the true nature of a person through the trials of wealth, resources, and opportunity. Money and material possessions can reveal character in ways that words alone cannot. The one who consistently acts with integrity, generosity, and humility demonstrates a strength of heart that cannot be measured by worldly standards. In Christian teaching, wealth is not inherently evil, but it is a tool that tests faith and principles. Those who are chosen by God are frequently faced with opportunities to act selfishly or to compromise their values for immediate gain. How they respond becomes a measure of spiritual maturity and alignment with divine purpose. The individual who chooses righteousness over greed, generosity over self-interest, and honesty over deception embodies the qualities of a faithful steward. These moments, though challenging, provide clarity, showing who truly values God's will above earthly rewards. The test is not designed to shame, but to reveal strength of character and obedience to principles that have eternal significance, beyond the fleeting opinions or judgments of others. Exposure through wealth and opportunity can also serve as a platform to demonstrate transparency and integrity. Christian motivation emphasizes that those who act with a clean conscience and humble heart will be recognized in God's perfect timing. Generosity in the face of personal temptation is a powerful testimony of faith. It demonstrates that true riches are not counted in currency or possessions, but in moral fortitude, spiritual alignment, and service to others. Those who maintain humility and selflessness in situations where the world often exploits advantage shine as examples of godly character. The faithful steward understands that their actions are observed not only by those around them, but by God Himself. Every decision, every act of honesty, and every demonstration of selflessness becomes a living witness of divine guidance and protection, reinforcing the principle that faithfulness to God surpasses worldly gains and recognition. The lessons learned through the trials of wealth extend beyond immediate circumstances. They cultivate patience, wisdom, and discernment, equipping the individual to handle greater responsibilities in the future. Christian teaching reminds us that God tests the heart through resources, seeking to purify motives and strengthen resolve. Those who remain committed to righteousness, even when exposed to scrutiny or misunderstanding, grow in spiritual maturity and readiness for divine purpose. The chosen one's response to material trials can inspire others, showing that integrity and obedience to God's principles are more valuable than temporary success. Over time, these experiences reveal a life guided by divine wisdom rather than human approval. They provide a foundation for long-term influence and testimony, demonstrating that true victory lies in perseverance, moral courage, and faithfulness, regardless of how others may judge or misunderstand. Divine timing plays a crucial role in the life of the chosen one. Often the world expects immediate results, quick recognition, or fast validation, yet God's plan unfolds according to perfect timing, not human impatience. The faithful are called to trust in the unseen and remain diligent in their efforts, even when no one else seems to notice or believe. Christian teaching emphasizes that God's timing is always precise, and that the seeds sown in faith, humility, and obedience will bear fruit at the appointed moment. Patience is not merely a passive waiting, but an active practice of perseverance, prayer, and steadfast dedication to righteous living. The chosen one must remain committed to principles, continue acts of service, and nurture a heart aligned with God, knowing that every small, unseen effort is contributing to a greater purpose. Faith in divine timing strengthens character, refines patience, and prepares the individual for the impact that will eventually manifest in ways that silence critics and confirm God's plan. Patience in waiting also builds resilience and fortitude. The chosen one often experiences periods where progress seems slow, goals appear distant, and the world's acknowledgement is absent. In these moments, it is natural to feel discouraged or question the path. Yet, Christian motivation teaches that these trials are intentional, shaping the heart and spirit. Enduring through uncertainty cultivates wisdom, humility, and trust in God's promises. Every act of faith, no matter how unnoticed, is an investment in a future that is certain under divine oversight. The chosen one learns to rely on spiritual discernment rather than human approval, understanding that the unseen work of God in their life is preparing a foundation for lasting impact. This period of preparation is essential, for it ensures that when the moment of revelation arrives, the individual is ready to fulfill their purpose fully, without compromise, hesitation, or distraction from the world's opinions. The eventual revelation of purpose becomes a powerful testimony to perseverance, faith, and obedience. When God's timing brings results, they are unmistakable, undeniable, and often transformative. Christian teaching reminds believers that those who remain faithful through waiting experience a sense of fulfillment and validation that cannot be achieved through human recognition alone. The chosen one's journey demonstrates that persistence, integrity, and unwavering devotion to God's will are more important than temporary accolades or immediate success. Divine timing reinforces the truth that God's plan is perfect, comprehensive, and unmatched by worldly expectations. By trusting in this timing, the faithful learn to celebrate small victories, remain steadfast during challenges, and embrace patience as a vital tool in fulfilling their calling. The ultimate lesson is that God's schedule is always precise, and faithfulness through waiting ensures that every effort contributes to the fulfillment of a purpose far greater than human understanding. The journey of the chosen one is rarely without scrutiny, and exposure of one's life, whether through finances, decisions, or personal challenges, often invites criticism and misunderstanding. People may question intentions, misinterpret actions, or even spread false narratives seeking to undermine credibility. Christian motivation teaches that resilience is not developed by avoiding criticism, but by facing it with grace, faith, and unwavering commitment to God's principles. Exposure becomes an opportunity to demonstrate integrity, transparency, and trust in divine justice. The chosen one learns to respond not with defensiveness or anger, but with steadfast faith, allowing actions guided by righteousness to speak louder than words. Every trial, every observation, and every judgment becomes a platform to model godly living, proving that human opinion cannot define character. In fact, exposure often serves God's purpose, revealing truth to those willing to see beyond surface appearances and reinforcing the chosen one's reliance on spiritual discernment rather than external approval. Facing public scrutiny or personal exposure also strengthens moral courage and spiritual maturity. The faithful are reminded that every challenge encountered is a test of heart, character, and obedience. Christian teaching emphasizes that trials are designed to refine, not to break, those who remain devoted to God. The chosen one learns to persevere, understanding that criticism and exposure do not negate value or divine favor. Instead, they serve as opportunities to deepen reliance on prayer, scripture, and God's guidance, cultivating wisdom and patience. The faithful individual recognizes that transparency, honesty, and humility are more powerful than any attempt to defend or justify oneself. Each obstacle becomes a lesson in trust, allowing the chosen one to grow stronger in faith, wiser in judgment, and more steadfast in the pursuit of divine purpose, even when the world misunderstands or questions their actions. Ultimately, exposure and criticism refine the chosen one for greater impact and testimony. Christian motivation teaches that those who endure these trials with integrity demonstrate the power of God in their lives. The faithful witness that challenges, scrutiny, and misunderstandings are not signs of failure, but opportunities to display perseverance, faith, and righteous living. By maintaining commitment to God's principles, the chosen one becomes an example of moral courage, inspiring others to act with integrity even under pressure. Exposure, rather than being a source of shame, becomes a tool for growth, affirmation, and demonstration of God's faithfulness. Over time, consistent integrity in the face of observation and criticism will reveal truth, vindicate righteousness, and confirm that divine purpose cannot be derailed by worldly misunderstanding. Strength lies in trusting God, enduring trials, and letting actions grounded in faith and righteousness speak louder than any words or accusations. Every trial, every moment of disbelief, and every challenge faced by the chosen one is an opportunity to transform adversity into testimony. Christian motivation teaches that hardships are not meaningless. They are instruments in God's hands to refine character, deepen faith, and create a living witness of divine faithfulness. The struggles endured in silence, when others fail to recognize efforts or intentions, provide a powerful narrative of perseverance and obedience to God's will. The chosen one demonstrates through actions that righteousness, humility, and integrity have lasting value, far beyond temporary approval or recognition. Each challenge faced becomes part of a larger story, a story that ultimately inspires others and glorifies God. Trials that may initially feel like setbacks become platforms to show that faithfulness, even when unacknowledged, produces lasting fruit and prepares the individual for future impact. Christian teaching emphasizes that the testimony of the chosen one serves as encouragement and guidance for others navigating similar paths. The adversity faced, the disbelief encountered, and the trials of integrity are not just personal experiences. They become collective lessons that demonstrate God's faithfulness in action. Every act of perseverance, every decision to remain honest and compassionate, and every display of humility contributes to a narrative of hope. This narrative communicates that no matter how misunderstood or undervalued one may feel, God sees every effort, every sacrifice, and every moment of obedience. The testimony created through endurance under trial reinforces the truth that divine purposes cannot be hindered by worldly doubt, and that God's timing will reveal results that inspire and confirm the path taken. In this way, the chosen one's life becomes a living example of faith triumphing over skepticism. Transforming trials into testimony also strengthens spiritual resilience and leadership. The chosen one, by enduring hardship faithfully, becomes a source of wisdom, guidance, and inspiration for others. Those who witness perseverance in action learn that integrity and faith are more powerful than immediate success or validation. Christian motivation teaches that the experiences of challenge and exposure are not wasted, but are essential in shaping character, preparing the individual for responsibilities aligned with divine purpose. The testimony of endurance provides hope for those struggling in disbelief or facing similar trials, illustrating that God's plan is at work even when the world cannot see it. Through patience, faith, and consistent obedience, the chosen one demonstrates that adversity is not a roadblock, but a bridge to greater purpose, revealing that every challenge faced with integrity contributes to a life that glorifies God and inspires countless others to remain steadfast in faith.